then we rushed down here to the Bez Murray Centre. This centre is brand new, it looks still brand new, but it's named after my dad, the Bez Murray Centre, Community Centre. So, you know, when they opened it, he said, as long as everybody could use the centre, not just Aboriginal people, and they agreed, because over the road we've got a very flash retirement village. And so instead of them all going all the way up to the hospital, they can come in and get checked out by a doctor. And yeah, so it's a pretty special centre, full of every hallway you go in, there's Aboriginal artwork. And yeah, so I just want to acknowledge them too, the Muthi Muthi people, the lands that we're on up here. And a lot of you guys, CMA, probably know Muthi Muthi people through Mungo. So from Balranald here we go right out to Mungo, and then just out the road where I grew up on a 250,000 acre station, it's called Yanga. And in 2005, Yanga was sold and Parks New South Wales bought it, which, you know, we're very happy about, because my dad worked out there for 58 years for this big horse and sheep and cattle station. And as he started off as a horse breaker, and then when he was only about 17, and then he ended up working as a stockman, and then he ended up overseer, which was looking after all the cattle and the sheep. Yeah, it's great now it's in the hands of Parks, because you know, we get priority for water, you know, into the swamps, and there's two beautiful big lakes out there. But sadly, Yanga Lake, which is actually as old as Mungo, and still should have water. But the only reason why the water isn't there is because they had the drought when the lake filled up, but now they just haven't had the environmental flows. What they did, they tried to fill it from way up near all the back creeks and fill up all the swamps on the way, but the water ran out before it got back here. So all the fish died. Yeah, pelicans rolled in, got all the fish before it dried up. And it's bone dry, which is sad. A lot of the local people, yeah. So yeah. So then when it got sold, my dad then they employed my dad to do all the cultural training and go right through the 90,000 acres of forest and map out all the canoe trees, the burial sites, and the ones that he knew anyway. So yeah, so that's where we are, up in Balranald, and pretty special. Yeah. So I just want you to close your eyes, and I'm going to play a little piece of music. So I'm here with my wife Sarah, and if you're the CMA, you've probably even seen us by now. We play under the name Kinja, which means home. And
yeah, hello from me as well. So, yeah, so yeah. It's nice to be joining Ron as well, and we're going to be playing some music together as part of Reconciliation Week.
Yeah, and it's the violin that Sarah plays, by the way, is her dad's, and we only had his funeral last Monday before. Tuesday, sorry. So Sarah's dad, Sholto, he passed away, and yeah, lucky we could have 20 at his funeral in Melbourne. That was good, but certainly Sarah's fiddle played a big part. We played some music at his funeral, and it was on his coffin, and it was his fiddle, so pretty special. And yeah, so but first of all, I just want to close your eyes and think about Reconciliation Week, what it means to you. I'm sure everybody has different ideas, and you might want to think about a special Aboriginal friend that you've got, or a story that you know of, or there's plenty out there. Yeah, so I'm just going to play you a little piece to bring in good spirits.
We thought we might play a song in thinking about country, and it's written by a Central Victorian songwriter. Her name is Faye White, and it's called Fields of Murnong. And especially in Reconciliation Week, as we think about the land where we live, we're not there today, but we're in Castlemaine, but also that neighbouring area that this song is about, the Dja Dja Wurrung. And it's in many ways, it's a song that pays respect to the Aboriginal women of Victoria.
So I acknowledge my friend Sonia. It's great to see you, Son. You have a beautiful face, and when I was at the CMA, it wasn't
good
for
to
Sonia.
see you too, Ron. Really good to see you. I've missed hearing you. I've missed hearing you didgeridoo. Yeah,
and I want you to invite me back in to talk to your committee, and I'd love to meet you all and see how you're going. And you do fantastic work, all you guys, and it's important to me. You know what you do with the waterways. You know, I know down there, Sonia, here's where my heart is, because, you know, I grew up here, even though it's muddy country. You know, I know all this area right up to Hay, and mustered it with horseback, and I've seen some, you know, the stuff that was done here. But the water quality, when we're here I was born in 1960, we used to never worry about taking water. You know, we could just, because the river, and the swamps and the lakes were so beautiful and clear, we could just put the billy in, and it was, you know, the waters were crystal. And that's when I went on the CMA. I was a bit different, I suppose, and some could say that I was always on about quality of water rather than quantity. I want to see, but it's never going to get back that way, because I know even around here, so in the Balranald area, there's big almonds and what's them other macadamias. Is big here, and at the road there's grapes, and there's so much water being pumped in and out, and people using their chemicals, and so I know it's not going to get back to where we've seen it, but let's hope you know, keep going on about trying to keep that quality and the chemicals out of it if we can, and there must be, there's other ways. Yeah. So this is a special song to us. I think Sarah said Faye White wrote this one. She was an amazing singer-songwriter from Maryborough, but now living in Castlemaine. Yeah, she is. Faye.
Sings for country. She gathers grass, she gathers reeds, skillful fingers coil and weave, a basket for her food gathering. Woman of the Dja Wurrung or Dja with Charlie cares for country. And so she lives, she walks the land, gathering basket in her hand, in her basket all she needs. Woman of the Dja Wurrung or Dja with Charlie. And then they come, the gunners come, horses, sheep, dogs and guns. They trample down the Balranald. Woman of the Dja Wurrung or Dja with Charlie mourns her country. Ayo, ayo, gone the fields of Balranald, gone the plants depended on. Woman of the Dja Wurrung or Dja with Charlie mourns her country. Ayo, ayo, sadness comes, sadness deepens, too sad to even weeping, grieving for the Dja Wurrung or Dja with Charlie. The older way of life is gone for Dja with Charlie, Dja Wurrung, respect for those who carry on. Woman of the Dja Wurrung or Dja with Charlie, teach us how to care for country.
Oh, I hope you could hear that all right, guys. Yeah, but happy Reconciliation Week, and it's a very special week for us Indigenous people. But gee, this year's a bit different. We're doing things like Zoom, and although tomorrow I'm doing a live one, aren't I?
You're the first time Ron's gone back in somewhere. He's going into the Australian Federal Police tomorrow into Melbourne. So I guess it's good to see things are easing a little bit, aren't they?
For a long time. Yeah. So that's going to be a bit different. But I want to tell this story, Son. I don't think you've heard this one, Son. Sonia's heard all my stories, so I don't want to tell one. We have a lot of fun. I'm lucky that I can go around and do stuff with reviving a lot of our old stories that. Especially in Swan Hill, we're now animating them with the kids, and when we're animating this one, which is to do with water, I suppose. In Swan Hill, it's not a good story. It's about an eagle that came down and swooped down and took this little toddler, and the mother, when she put the baby down in the sand and to look around in horror, she was horrified to see the baby being taken out to this big nest. And the eagle takes it out to a massive big tree that was in the centre of Lake Boga and never to be seen again. So the tribe, the initiated men ordered all the men to go and cut it down, which they did. And then back then there was many fine trees around Lake Boga. They ordered them to cut down all the trees because they didn't want the eagle to return. Now, but watching from the reeds was a bird called a curlew, and the curlew took up that scream out of respect for the mother, and sadly them birds are not there anymore neither, because the cats and foxes have wiped them all out. Even up here in Balranald, the cats and foxes have cleaned them all up. Anyway, that happened then. But what I find amazing about the story, I then read Major Mitchell's diaries, and he got to this lake. And he ended up having a fight, and he shot some of my people. And but he in his diaries, when I read them, he said that the men that were escaping from his guns were canoeing out to a floating island, what appeared to him to be a floating island of reeds in Lake Boga. And that's a story. my nan used to tell us about this floating island, and two boys went out there one day fishing and left the fire going and the island smouldered and sank. But in Major Mitchell's diaries, he complained that he froze because he couldn't find any firewood. So there's, what I think that's a bad story, the correlation between, the story must have happened, for him not to find any wood. But now, Europeans arrived and they've planted trees around Lake Bogan. It's got a few nice trees around it again. But that's, So, Sarah's telling me something over here. What do you want to say?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, and like only recently, you were saying you're doing lots of animations around stories like that, because even today at Balranald, that bringing stories that you tell, Ron, into the young children today and even giving them a chance to write their own stories with an Aboriginal base. It's kind of keeping it going for the next generation, isn't it?
Yeah, so stories can evolve. A lot of people are stuck in, the story should be told exactly how it is, but I don't. I put things into it, like, if he's a good dancer, I might say, he's good as Michael Jackson, or now I'm going to have to change that because the young ones don't know Michael Jackson. Us older ones do. So this story, it is to do with water. And I found it I found it in an old book, and ironically, it goes back to my grandmother's country up in the Blue Mountains. Monaro, I'm a part of the Monero tribe, or Monaro, and so on the eastern sides of the Blue Mountains, there was a little stream, a beautiful crystal clear little stream that flowed down. Matter of fact, there's many streams that flow down the mountains up there, but this one in this stream was special because all the little bubbles were crystal clear, living little spirits. Now, this one little bubble kept wishing and wishing that he could become something, maybe a creature, and be able to play with all the other animals. And so there he was going down the little stream over the rocks and under the ferns which were tickling the stream into laughter, and it was warmed by the sun rays that came through the treetops. And but Biami, the great one, so down here I'm on Biami country, I'm not on Bunjil. So Biami was the creator here. And so Biami, he gave him his wish and he turned him into the first ever little green frog. But he was stuck in the bubble. And that little frog, as he was going down in the bubble, over the rocks and through tunnels, he kept kicking his feet and the bubble would jump up out of the water long enough for him to look around, but fall always back into the stream and continue his descent down the mountain to get to eventually to get to the Murrumbidgee. Anyway, as he bobbed down, he finally landed into a little billabong. And the billabong was surrounded by kabungi, and there was water rats and platypus and everything that lived in that little pond. So the little frog kept kicking his legs, and up would jump the bubble about 12 inches out of the water, and he not trying for him to look around, but always gravity would pull him back down. So he gave up, and there he was at the bottom of this little pond, all sad because he couldn't get out. But down to the pond, as he did every day to come down for a drink, was the lyrebird. So the little lyrebird walked down and he bobbed his head down. Now these lyrebirds, they're renowned for their mimicking, but the Aboriginal people called the lyrebird the opera singer of the bush. He could copy anybody. He had the most beautiful voice. So he was the opera singer of the bush. Even now, the parks people talk about the lyrebird can take off a chainsaw, because chainsaws out there cutting trees and ring, ding, 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 and he's also now in the parks mimicking everybody's mobile phone. You know how many different calls there is. He can mimic them all. So the lyrebird, as he bobbed down to have a drink, he spotted this bubble. Now he was used to seeing these crystal clear little spirits, but never before had he seen one. Glittering green, with two brown eyes looking out at him. So he let out a high-pitched thrill, which shook the bubble, and the bubble burst. And up to the surface came this little green frog. He crawled onto a lily pad, and there he was staring at the lyrebird, and the lyrebird was staring back at him. Oh my goodness, said the lyrebird. What on earth are you? Ooh, with that slimy green skin you've got. Ooh, and then big brown eyes. And look at that funny big mouth. And ooh, them funny little suckers on the end of your feet and arms. What on earth are you? But in his ear whispered Biami. And he said to the lyrebird, Lyrebird, this is my latest creation. Teach him how to sing. Teach him how to sing. Well, the lyrebird took it so serious that he thought, oh, you better do it straight away. So he got the little frog to sit there on the lily pad. He said, I'm going to teach you how to sing. So the way the lyrebird went, he started singing songs after songs. And he sang songs of thunderstorms, and he mimicked the rain and even snow falling on the mountains. And he went all through his repertoire. And at the end of the night, he said to the little frog, right out, little frog, show me what I've learnt you. Well, the little frog stared at him and just went, Rabbit. Oh my goodness, thought the lyrebird, I've been here all night long trying to teach you how to sing, and all you can do is one little ribbit. Don't worry, he said, I'll come back tomorrow night. So night after night, that lyrebird came back and taught that little frog. And after a few weeks, he came down to the pond and he looked around for the little frog and he couldn't see him. And all of a sudden he heard his own brother's voice behind the bushes. He ran around behind the bushes. His brother wasn't there. He ran back to the pond and there was a little frog on his back, laughing his head off. Not only had he mimicked his brother's voice, he'd thrown it into the bushes. Well, said the lyrebird, you can now sing even better than me. We better have a concert so you can show all the other animals how you can sing. So the next day, the lyrebird sent out all his messages and invited all the animals to that little pond. Now that night was special because the moon was full up in the sky. All the animals turned up and they sat around the pond. Well, the lyrebird looked into the pond and he sang out, little frog, come up. Well, the little frog sprung up out of the pond and landed on his lily pad. Well, all the animals looked at him and started to laugh. Oh my goodness, what have you done? You brought us here to see this absurd little creature? No, said the lyrebird. I did not bring you here to look. I brought you here to listen. Sing, little frog. Well, the little frog looked at one end of the animals and started to mimic every one of them animals around that pond. Well, the animals were so amazed. They thought never heard anybody could sing and copy their songs. So at the end of the night, they all went away. And the lyrebird said to the little frog, my job is done here now. I'll see you later. And off he went, which left the little green frog there all by himself. He looked around and he was lonely. Now, Biami the Great One, he knew, so he gave him one more wish and he set him down a little girl frog. And the little girl frog landed right beside him. Well, he was so shy that his little arm, if some of you remember going, you know, having your first date and going to the movies and putting his arm around her and his little suckers, and he got her in his nice little cuddle. Anyway, finally he looked into her eyes and his heart was beating out of his chest. He was in love. Well, being a male, he started to skite about himself. You know, my dear, he said, I happen to be the best singer in the whole wide world. Are you, she said. He said, yes, he said. Matter of fact, he said, I could prove it to you right now. He said, see that moon up there? I'll sing that moon down into this very pond just for you. Would you do that for me? Yes, he said. So he took a big deep breath and he started to sing to the moon. And he sang and he sang and he sang. But that moon took no notice of him. It just went right across the sky until he disappeared. He was most disappointed and embarrassed. So she said, don't worry, my dear, try again tomorrow night. So the next night, they both got on that little lily pad and the moon came up and he said, I'll show her this time. And he took the biggest, deepest breath and he sang as loud as he could. And he sang so loud for so long, he lost his voice. And all he's got left now is that little robot. He can still throw his voice, but he can't sing. It's the lyrebird that people go to listen to, not the little green frog. Yeah, thank you.
That's a good one. I like that. Well, I think we're getting close to the end of our time, but we might finish with a song, if that's nice to finish with some music. And it's one we haven't done for a long time, but Ron's father used to play the mouth organ along with this. And being up in Balranald and at the Besmurray Community Centre, it made me think of the song, and especially with the work that you do. The only thing is I might forget some of the words. If that happens, you'll forgive me. I'll give it a try. Yeah. But it's called Wind Harps.
Oh, yeah.
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 But I'm just thinking on the rhythm of it, I'll just need to... Just give you a little bit. Keep playing, I'm thinking. Dja Dja Wurrung Country, sigh as the breeze blows by. Wind harps of the western plains, breeze as the west winds blow. Songs of old gone to on land, and the days they used to know. Will the golden sun moth cease to fly? Will we lose the bush stone curlew's cry? Will the gold jeweled beetles fold its wings, and the little cicadas cease to sing? Will the red-tailed cockatoo disappear, and the fun-timing forest bats go from here? Will the sweet quandoms grow back and thrive? Will the casuarina woodlands yet survive? Wind harps of the Wimmera, Allo casuarina lumini, brother Bullock through Dja Dja Wurrung Country, sigh as the breeze blows by. Wind harps of the western plains, breeze as the west winds blow. Songs of old gone to on a land, and the days they used to know. May the old tree lonely in the field have a chance to yet set seed and yield. May we see a change across the plains, with the woodlands winding around the grain. We will fence out stock and knock down weeds to create a place for the fallen seed. Then the seeds will spring from the water rain, and the casuarina woodlands come again. Wind harps of the Wimmera, Allo casuarina lumini, brother Bullock through Dja Dja Wurrung Country, sigh as the breeze blows by. Wind harps of the western plains, breeze as the west winds blow. Songs of old gone to on a land, and the days they used to know. used to know.
You got it. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Any questions on, any questions out there on Reconciliation Week, or anything that you want to ask? Yeah.
I'd like to ask Ron, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
You both sang a beautiful song about Fields of Murnong. Would you please tell us a little bit more what Murnong is and what Murnong meant?
Yeah, like I went to one of the last jobs I did before the pandemic hit, was to they were from all around the world in Melbourne. It was a pretty flash event, and it was biodynamic farming, and we brought this up. And one of the things that you see in all the histories that are written about Victoria especially was how soft the earth was to walk on. If you took away the cattle and the sheep, and all the Aboriginal walking with bare feet, the numbers of people weren't as many. And out on the plains, a lot of it was cultivated by women digging this yam up, the yam daisy, the Murnong. And I found, even in Major Mitchell's diaries, when I was reading him, I found he explained how thick it was, out around Sunbury, and they said that it was so plentiful. I suppose I could compare it with that crop that they grow now, what's that yellow crop? And when you see it, not safflower.
Canola.
What's that? Canola. So that's what it would have been like, nearly as thick as that. You could imagine that beautiful Murnong, and you run a mob of sheep across it, it snapped it, and bang, and crushed the ground down, rather than the women digging it with their digging sticks. Matter of fact, I've got some, when my dad died, he left me with some spears that he'd been given to him by a farmer down the road, and he picked them up off his property from the Aboriginal people when they were taken out. And there's actually 3 women's digging sticks in there. When I look at them, they're just like they've been used yesterday. So I often think about this, the Murnong in that song. Be good to see some people putting it back, on their property, which is happening. I know a lot of land care groups are getting it growing again, and but it was the equivalent of a potato to us. Yeah, that's how you can imagine taking a potato or rice away out of our diets, and that was what it was like for Aboriginal people. Yeah, but it's beautiful when it's roasted. It doesn't grow that thick up here anymore neither, because of the sheep and cattle as well. Really mess the environment around. But in that song too, I think gubbars, you would have heard the word gubbar for white people. Some people say it was a terrible word, it was a derogatory word, but no, it wasn't. It was just they couldn't say government, and everybody in the Aboriginal people's lives, the cops, the people at the courts, and the welfare, in their lives were from the government. Yeah, so the government became gubbar. So that's Faye White's song, isn't it? Too.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one, Faye White. She's written some beautiful songs about, Aboriginal people and the environment and recycling, all sorts of stuff. Faye, we really revere Faye. I think she's just a beautiful person. You got anything to say?
No, look, I think that's it's nice to be part of today, just playing a little bit of music on the side, but
Yeah.
Thanks, Robin.
Yeah, thanks, Robin, for organising that. And we'll catch up soon. Simon, I'll have to ring you. I've got a question to ask you, but later on.
I was just if you've got 2 minutes, I was just going to throw it out. If anyone's got any questions that they'd like to turn their microphone off mute and put to Sarah and Ron, or shoot them through on the chat bar.
Yeah. But guys too, just promoting my little hometown here, if you get a chance, come up and stay. It's a great little place, into the waterways. It's a really good place to come up and have a look at what they've, parks and that have done up here. And not saying they got everything right, but So all good to do.
I pressed to see whether
Oh, question.
No, that's all good. Yeah.
I'll just quickly jump on. Uncle Ron, Nick Stewart here. Just wanted to say thank you. Great job.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it, and so did I. So thank you.
You're welcome, mate. Yeah. So we're related on our Stewart side, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Old Stewart and Lake Boga and yeah.
Thank you again.
Yeah, have a good reconciliation with it, cuz.
Yeah, we'll do. Cheers, Unc.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I haven't covered something there, Robin. I pressed the chat bar and it's taken all our faces away, but hopefully that's okay.
That's okay. Just if anyone had a question, please just send it through right now. Otherwise, I can pass things on to Sarah and Ron. I will send around the recording of today and share their contact details. Obviously, they're happy to have any work that you might have for them. So yeah, if there's no other questions, I'd just again like to say thank you so much for joining with us today. And if we could turn our microphones on for 1 second and just give them a round of applause, please.